guess I should, right?
Guess you should. We're live.
Hi, everybody. Alan here from Base Camp Brooklyn. Thanks for joining us. I have Erin here.
Hi, guys.
And you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Erin of Ivy and Light. So we both have YouTube channels. And most of you guys, I think, already know us together as the unit, Erin and Alan, that travel around the world doing fun stuff together. So yeah, hopefully we'll do one of these on my channel. So I don't want to steal your thunder. I'll let you be the lead on this one.
Okay, so as you guys know, we've been on the road for over a year, and a whole bunch of you guys have been asking me and Erin so many questions on, how did we get here? What are we doing? How, from 1,000 different questions. So I thought we would just take a moment, take about 45 minutes just to answer some of those questions. We do have a list of questions here as well that I'm going to go through that we'll read and then give each Erin and I a chance to kind of answer those questions. And, if you have any questions, definitely leave it in the comments. And if we have time at the end, we will try our best to answer all the questions. So before we start, do you have anything to add, Erin?
I don't think so. We started kind of trying to brainstorm together different Nomad Life questions that we've had people ask us in the past. And then it just became this giant list of all of the questions. So we picked a few today to go over. And then I was thinking it might be fun to kind of answer any questions you guys have here, but then maybe do some topic ones. So you could also put in the comments now, or if you're watching this on the playback, topics that you would love for us to cover. Because sometimes I think we could do just a whole video on one aspect of Nomad Life. I like to have things kind of organized mentally, so I think that might be a little bit easier. But for today, we're going to go over kind of the general stuff.
The general stuff, yeah. And I know if you've been following me, you would know that I have a lot of cooking videos on YouTube. So moving forward, I'll be doing a lot more videos around Nomad Life, around building the overland rig, and a lot more adventure stuff as we continue this lifestyle. So yeah, as what Erin said, just put it in the comments. What would you like to hear? What kind of things would you like to see on my videos as well as her videos? And then we will, we're pretty busy. We're trying to get as much content out there as possible. And, with everything going on in the world, sometimes it's not as easy as we'd like it to be. But we are full, in fifth gear, trying our best to get as much content out there for you guys to enjoy. So yeah, just leave it in the comments on things that you'd like to see us do. Obviously, I'm going to continue with all the cooking videos, but any other stuff, I know you guys constantly sending me DMs, sliding DMs into my Instagram and Facebook about all the different things, and I would like to make videos in them too, so that so that I'm able to answer questions for a larger group of people, not just for individuals. Okay, so let's get started. Let's find what the first question is.
Drum roll, please. Okay, hold on. Okay, why did you decide to live life on the road?
Good question. So, working in retail, restaurant management for almost 3 decades, it takes a toll. And though I love my job, I love leading groups of upwards of 300 people, I knew that it was not a lifetime. It was not anymore for me. The creative side of me has always been wanting more, to create art, whether it's visual art through my photography, now it's videography and making content for the internet, but also travel. I mean, if many of you guys know, I enjoy traveling. I spend a lot of time traveling 1 week, 2 weeks, but there's so much to see. And I just was racking my brain, how am I going to be able to see everything? And the only way I figured I'm able to do that, for us to do that, was to just 24/7 be traveling. So the question was, well, how can I 24/7 travel but still make a living still have the financial resources to, support that type of life. So back in 2018, we started, probably in the summer, we started just thinking about, okay, like, let's start putting our ducks together and figure out how we can get there. And then we did. We manifested it. We made a plan. A lot of it was in our head, but we made little steps towards that. And I think about 6 months, I was able to quit my full-time job and hit the road. And yeah, how about you?
So for me, it started with, I gave up on managing other people before you did. It was
about
not,
a year before, right?
Yeah. It's not for me. I have always been an entrepreneur at heart. First, I was a musician working for myself and teaching music lessons, and really wanted to be more artistic, more creative. Then I got into the natural healing space because of my own personal journey with hypothyroidism and healing from that naturally. And so through that whole journey, it was just clear that working a 60-hour job at weird times of the day, never getting out into nature, like that was just not for me. It was not healthy. So starting in about 2016, my goal was to work for myself, work from home, have the flexibility to do the things I needed for my health, to heal myself, so that once I had healed myself, I could then start doing those things with my life that I really wanted to do. And a lot of people that I talk to in my business, they have these big goals, but the first thing is physical health, right? That's holding them back. So that was the beginning of my journey. Then once I was enjoying working from home, being creative, being my own boss, feeling better, I started to feel like, well, it's not fair that I get to do that, but Alan doesn't get to do that, because he has all of these great, artistic talents, food talents, all of these things that really need to be brought into the world. And I had been telling him for years that we needed to be helping people get out into nature. We need to be leading these events and all that stuff. And so that was the moment where it was like, either we could try to gain enough money so that we could save enough to then go travel the world, or what if we just say, screw it, turn everything on its head and just do it now? If we can just do it now and make it happen, instead of waiting for permission or waiting for, some amount of money, then we could go ahead and start enjoying our lives while we built businesses instead of needing that to come first. So it was like turning on its head the idea of what we should be doing and just decide what we want to do.
So next question we have, how was the planning process?
So you're going to be able to cover this maybe in more detail, but for me, the planning process was literally, how can I manifest this? So I also have a business where I'm a life coach and I help people manifest big goals and dreams. And I had been putting this formula for manifesting into practice. And I had learned how to do that through this process of healing from hypothyroidism, through the process of building my own business. But I had never from go said, okay, I'm going to manifest something and then do it. So for me, the fun part of it was manifesting purposely with intent from the beginning. Okay, so we have a goal. We believe we can do this. What's the way to make it happen? So energy is big for me. So what's the energy space that we can get into that will make this happen faster? And a huge part of that is doing whatever it is that you can do that will increase that energy. So I wanted to be out in nature, bring more plants into the house, sit on the front stoop and drink my coffee in the morning, go camping as much as possible. So watch all the YouTube videos about Nomad Life, so that every waking moment is just around this energy. And that really does speed up the process. You were doing much more of the, rig aspect of the planning and having to quit your job. The other part for me was, how can I have a jewelry business on the road? So I make crystal jewelry. So it was like, how am I going to carry all of this stuff? So that was kind of a physical planning aspect. But the rest for me was really energetic. So you can talk about all of the stuff that I really want to hear about, the nitty gritty details.
Yeah. So I think, mean, the big part is before quitting my job is make sure your finances are all straight. Make sure, if you are, neck deep in debt, this is probably your first steps is how do I get out of debt? Because I think the biggest part of living on the road is minimizing what Aaron said, minimizing all your financial commitments. So if you don't have those financial commitments, and then now get rid of your house, your apartment, you're living rent free, you don't have to worry about a mortgage. Those are huge. Those take up a good portion of your income. So if you want to hit the road and live full time on the road, if you don't have, all this debt, mortgage, rent, all of a sudden you feel free. Like you don't have to work 10 hours to pay for your car payments and work 15 hours to pay for your mortgage. So that was a big piece. So I think for the first 6 months while I was still working was really diving deep into my finances and then cutting off all the non-essentials. So what we did is we got rid of all of our, Netflix, all those subscription-based things,
music subscription,
Pandora and Spotify and all those things. I know it's like nickel and dimes, right? But when you add them up, when we actually, put it on paper and saw how much we're spending a month on non-essentials, all of a sudden you're like, okay, well, now I'm working, you calculate it, relative to your job. I'm going to my job I have to work 5, 6, 7 hours a week just to pay for my non-essentials.
Yeah.
So if you think about getting rid of your non-essential.
What would you rather have, those non-essentials or freedom?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, I had already been doing that because I was trying to step down from working such long hours to working for myself. So that process it's the same process, right? Becoming an entrepreneur and becoming a nomad are very similar in the fact that you're trying to reduce costs because you don't know exactly what your financial, like where the money's going to come from when you're an entrepreneur. It comes in like this. So finances and health, I think, are two prerequisites.
Those are the biggest things, yeah.
If you have work to do there, I would start there with your goal, your end goal being whatever your big dream is, nomad life or owning your own land, right? Well, like whatever it is that you want, don't neglect those steps because once you have financial freedom and once you have health, then everything gets easier. You have the energy, the mental space, the financial capacity to do what you want to do in life.
So the next steps after, getting all your finances and all that ready is that's when I said, okay, I set a date. This is when I'm going to quit my job. And by that time, I have put enough money into some savings to last me for whatever, a year or 2 years or 3 years, depending. You decide how long do you want to be on the road. For me, I think I gave myself a 2-year cushion and then of savings so that I don't have to worry about money so much. And then once I quit my job, then it was kind of just building out how we're going to live. So, and for us, I already had a car. If you guys follow me, her name is Bagheera. And and I knew I wanted to be out in nature and be outdoors. So she is not a true 4x4, but I knew that I could build her out to be able to at least get onto the dirt roads and grassy fields and out on the sand. And, I have no intention to do some rock crawling because that's not the life that I'm shooting for. It's the life I want is to be out on the road and exploring a lot of different things. So just making sure that our rig is up for the challenge. So putting in a solar system in it to support the refrigerator in it and to support charging and running all our electrical devices, like my computer stuff, Aaron's computer stuff, all my camera and video equipment, so that we can be off grid and be able to still have the electrical power to survive. And I was doing a lot of cooking too, so we have a pretty big refrigerator installed in the car. And so I think after I quit my job is about three months of that stuff, trying to get us ready to be able to be on the road.
Yeah, and also in terms of planning, deciding what lifestyle we wanted.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what you were saying. Like, being nomads, is a super broad definition, right? Travel life, van life, overland.
Travel trailers.
Yeah, RV life. We're
backpackers. Sorry.
Super creative people, and we want to build businesses. Not even that we have to build businesses. We just want to build businesses, right? There's something that we want to accomplish in the world. So being able to accomplish that while traveling was super important for us. And that's why the solar and the Wi-Fi and all that stuff becomes really important. Whereas a lot of other people will just save up a year's worth of money and then eke it out over the year and just try to stay off grid as much as possible. So if you're planning your nomad life, it's about what are you going to want to do, and not just going and YouTubing and saying, okay, well, Aaron and Alan did it this way, so that's how I have to do it. No, part of the plan is deciding what do you want to do, what's going to make you happy.
Yeah, exactly. Like a big part is always planning. Like, what is your end goal? I know we want to be out on the road and travel, but I didn't want to have to end it at some point, so I have to go back to a 9 to 5, 40, 50, 60-hour work week. So this was not an extended vacation. Yeah. So yeah, we're traveling. Yeah, we're having fun, but we're spending a lot of time working on the road as well. So yeah, so being on the road, being over the last year and a half, we spent a lot of time still building our brands, the Ivy and Light brand and the Basecamp Brooklyn brand. And a lot of people think that we're just having a lot of fun because they see all the niceties of being nomads, but there is still a lot of work and frustrations and sacrifices that have to be made. It's real life, but where do you want to be at the end of the day? Yeah, exactly. Right? Getting to choose where you want to be at the end of the day. That was what it was for us. Like, we're not trying to get away from life, but we're just trying to enjoy it as much as possible along the way. Do you want to answer that question? No. Okay. Let's see. What was the biggest adjustment you had to make when you hit the road? So living in a New York City apartment for most of my life, I'm used to small spaces, but this was a small space. So for the first 6 months, we were literally just living out of our SUV. So we had everything in there. It was tight. We were camping, so every time we got to, public land, public forest, that we're able to set up our tents and stuff, it's unpacking everything and then setting up camp for whatever, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, however long we could stay there. And then towards the end of the summer last year, we got a trailer so that we could take the motorcycle with us. So we were able to build out the trailer so that we could live in it as well. But it's a very small trailer. It's a 6x10. You can check my Instagram. You can see pictures of it. And I didn't want a big, huge travel trailer. Number one, I didn't want to drive that thing, pulling that across country. Number two, it would prevent me from going to a lot of different, secluded areas. So I wanted to get the smallest trailer that we could find. It was a small cargo trailer, and outfit it and build it out so that it was have a sleeping and a kitchen, and that it could also carry the motorcycle. So, but space is still tight. So everything has a place, but it gets frustrating because sometimes you have to dig, you got to move things to get to things because everything is so tight. Living in an apartment, living in a house, everything has a place, and you just open a drawer, it's available to you. So there's a cutlery drawer. Yeah, right. there's a spot for everything. But when you're living in such a tight space, even though we got rid of a lot of things, there was things that still had to be shared in the same space. So it takes a lot of getting used to having to dig out everything that you need. So like clothes. Like I have shirts underneath jeans underneath socks underneath underwear. So unlike an apartment, I have a drawer for this, a drawer for that, a drawer for this. So digging in there and then making a mess and then having to refold things. So I like things neat and tidy. So it gets frustrating for me having to dig things and try to look for things and then plus because there is no one specific spot everything is, you forget where everything is. And if you haven't used it in a week, you're like, where did I do that? I know it's here somewhere.
Because there's no spot for it.
There's no specific spot for it.
So for me, first of all, I think it was great that we did it that way, where we had to be in the SUV first, and then we got the trailer, because the trailer feels like a mansion compared to just having a car, right?
Yeah.
So it makes you so much more grateful for what is still a small space. The main things, space-wise, I think, is like when you're trying to work with your tools, or when I'm trying to do my jewelry, because there's a lot, like you used to have a table with all your tools in the apartment, and I used to have all my jewelry stuff out. So there's like unpacking and unpacking. But so for me, in terms of transition, I think it was more about routine, not space, not having everything have its own spot, but having time be more organized. So when I lived in the apartment, when we were in Brooklyn and you were still working and I had the apartment to myself all day, and I could wake up and I could make my coffee, eat my breakfast, read a book, work, meditate, work more, it's like, that was so easy. And then when you go to living life on the road, and when you wake up changes based on where you are, where you're going, are you staying, are you moving, like needing to go to the bathroom, brush your teeth, like all of that gets more complicated. So that whole wake up and start your day process is not as beautiful as it is in an apartment. So it took me probably like 6 months to get to where I was just okay with that lack of routine. And you would think for nomads that we would be people who don't like routine, but that's not really true. I got into this so that we could be in nature more. That has nothing to do with liking routine or not, right? So it's not because I have this like wanderlust, never want to be doing the same thing 2 days in a row sort of a personality. I really have more of a routine personality. So that was my main, like, oh, well, there ain't one. Get over it, sort of a thing.
Yeah, just to add to that, it is frustrating that you feel like you're wasting time because, when you have an apartment or a house, your toothbrush is available. Now I have to spend an extra 20, 30 seconds to dig out the toothbrush out of a container that's underneath something, or, it's a lot of little extra seconds just to do everything because everything is so compact. But, you add that up, it's still less than your 1 hour commute, 2 hour commute, or 3 hour commute every day. So, I used to commute, at some point, 2-3 hours a day, and then working 11 hours at a job that, you'd rather not be there. So,
Yeah, give and take. It's adjusting your brain to the fact that it's okay that this is taking longer because I don't have all this other stuff getting in my way. Next question.
I'll read it because you can answer it, right?
Sure.
What were your preconceived ideas about nomad life, and what was your learnings?
So before we started living on the road full time, we did a lot of camping. I grew up camping and backpacking, and nature was a huge thing. I don't know, caves and forests and swamps and like all that fun stuff. So being in nature and roughing it, quote unquote, I was going to be fine with that. That didn't bother me. The one preconceived notion that we did have, I think we both shared this, but I definitely had, is that once we hit the road, we would be able to get our work done and then enjoy life and have more time at the end of the day in order to like see different cities. So we took our first big trip was 5 weeks down south, and we went through Nashville and Memphis and did the blues route and New Orleans. And by the time we got back, we were exhausted because we had tried to be tourists and also be nomads and also run businesses. And you really have to pick two of those. And so I had to give up on the idea that this was going to allow for more tourism, like vacation plus working. It really is just working on the road. That's where we are now. Now, at some point when our businesses are up and running and there's less hustle, I think we will be able to recapture some of that. But our priority is growing our business. So it's not vacation. And you kind of, when you're seeing a new place every day, you want a vacation because it's built in mentally, and you have to tell yourself, no, we can't go out to eat just because there's a new restaurant. And also, no, we can't go see everything that this town has to offer because we still only have so many hours in a day. The one thing that I thought would be hard that was actually way easier was the internet. We thought there were going to be times where we didn't have internet access, which was going to be hard for business. But it turns out there's only been like a handful of days this past year where we needed internet and didn't have it and had to go find it. So that was a big positive for us. What about you?
So one thing for me, traveling across the country, down south and all the way to the West Coast, and growing up in New York City in a community of inclusiveness and diversity, I was worried about meeting all these people across the country and being faced with judgmental eyes or whatever, all your ideas of racism and I don't even know how to say it.
Their preconceived notions.
Yeah, their preconceived notions of more of a liberal person, liberals like we are. But driving across country, we met so many wonderful people from all walks of life, and talking with them, I know that they can have very different views of on life and different values than maybe what I have, but that still didn't discount them as people, as humans who work hard and just want the best for their family and want the best for their friends, and who's just trying to do the best they can, right? And I go on social media, on Instagram or Facebook, and I see these people. I'm like, oh, yeah, I could never be friends with them, or like I just can't connect with them. But these are the same people that I met across in every single state, and they were wonderful people. And so that was a big aha moment for me. It was more of, it helped me embrace diversity even more than I already do. It helped me to really be able to understand where people are coming from and why they do the things they do. Am I going to agree with everything? Absolutely not. But at the end of the day, that we could still agree to disagree and still treat each other with respect and dignity, and allow people to still have their views. Obviously, if they're being violent and hurting people in a really, I'm not going to agree with that, but it really opens up, your acceptance of all types of people.
Yeah, we experienced a lot of kindness across the United States, which is, with the rest of the year coming after that, was what's happened in 2020. I think that's something that we can go back to. Like, we were there, we crossed the United States, and we saw so many wonderful things happen to us, wonderful interactions with people we didn't have much in common with. And I think that, like, at least for me, that gives me a sense of hope, right? Any other things? Preconceived ideas? Okay. What do you like most about Nomad Life?
I think the biggest thing was not knowing where you're going to be next week. Not knowing. I know a lot of people love the comfort of knowing, of having a space, but for me, it was, I spent time on the internet, kind of searching and researching where are we going. Like, so every day was, okay, where are we going to be next week? What is our road? Oh, we're going to be on the way to this city or that neighborhood or this national park. And it was exciting, and we made soft plans. I would see things and like, okay, that's where we're heading, and then all of a sudden 2 days later, like, okay, maybe we're not going to do that because we saw something else. So the excitement of always not knowing where you're going to be or where we're going to sleep, like where am I going to find a parking spot? I mean, there was times where we were traveling. I'm like, okay, it's about 8 hours. Maybe we could stop in about 3 hours and find a place to sleep. And then all of a sudden, like, oh yeah, like I would see this spot, like, okay, there's going to be this rest area. We could stop there and we could sleep there and then hit the road at 6 a.m. in the morning. But there was this one instance where we got to that rest area and it was closed. And it was already like midnight. And I'm like, okay, like I got to keep on driving. So we had to be open to, the uncertainty, but it builds strength, it builds character. And I think it made me more confident of being able to, make it and do whatever, it is I set out to do.
Yeah, I mean so that's your favorite part. That was the part that was the most personal growth for me. As you're describing it, I'm like, that sounds awful. And like at first, it's just like, what do you mean we don't know what we're going to do this week? I just need to know. And it got to the point where it was just like, okay, I guess I don't need to know. I guess we're going to have fun. I guess that's the goal for the week, is just to have fun. And that was huge for me because I really like a plan and I don't like things to change. And I like, so that was not my favorite part, but it was the part where I think I've grown the most, and I'm okay with that more now, which makes me better at lots of life, because as 2020 has shown us, you have no idea what's going to happen, right? And so when everything went down, I felt like, I think we're prepared for this because we haven't known what was going to happen and we've been okay. So what my actual favorite part is, this is hard. What's my favorite part of Nomad Life?
It's hard to pinpoint favorite.
Yeah,
it's just like music. Like, what's your favorite? What's your favorite movie? What's your favorite TV show?
I just love that we are not responsible to anybody else for our happiness. I think we aren't tied down to a lot of things that are sucking our energy, like a job or like an apartment. So a New York apartment, you're talking $2,000 hole you got to pay your way out of every month. And that for me is just like freeing to know that we can be where we want to be. We're pretty light on our feet because we could change our mind and we can decide, well, we don't want to spend the winter in New York. So now what are we going to do? So we're able to shift based on what's going to make us happy. And I really like that. That gives me a lot of comfort that if something needs to change, it can change. And it's not like this whole big upheaval. I also love planning, as I just said. And so as we're traveling and seeing the world, we get to kind of dream about, where do you want to go next? What's our next step? I would really love to have a homestead upstate where we have a wellness community. So for me, it's saying, okay, well, what's an area of the country that we saw that we want to go back to? Maybe we want to spend some time there. But then traveling all out west and realizing we just really love New England. And so as we are up here, being able to then travel around New England, where do we want to have our land, right? What type of people are going to benefit from this? Which is that, like, planning our next big dream, and the ability to do that because I know we accomplished this, and so therefore we can accomplish anything that we want. Just staying in that manifesting state is what I like the most. Like, we're always manifesting something, and so the question is it just manifesting a good week, or is it manifesting something big? And I feel like we've set our lives up where we can do that.
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on that. The freedom is just amazing. We try to wake up early every day because we have a laundry list of things we want to do for our brands. And if we're a little bit more tired that morning, it's like, okay, I can sleep for another 45 minutes, or I could go to bed early because I got to wake up early, but it's on my time. Not that I hated my jobs, but just having to wake up and having to be somewhere for somebody else, it's it's life draining. And to have the freedom to just say, all right.
Yeah, I really firmly believe as an entrepreneur that the whole point is to do something for a living that brings you joy and is also bringing other people joy, right? So that we get to choose what's most in alignment. We get to go to beautiful places in order to shoot videos. We get to eat delicious food in order to make your videos. I get to try new, I get to go and pick chamomile to make chamomile tea to make a video about. So your life, what you're doing for your business and your life are aligned. And that was our goal, and we accomplished that. And I like that is what feels the best. Yeah, just like every day just feels fun.
Oh yeah, I could talk all day about what's the best part of it, but there's just so many positive things about it. There's a lot of challenges. Don't get us wrong. It's not a picture perfect life, but the trade-off of freedom, it's
also being able to look at each other and say, this is the life we chose, right? If something's going wrong, this is the life we chose, not somebody else did it to me. You want me to read what Annie and Casey said? All right, so from
Annie and Casey.
Hi, guys. How did you balance all of these ideas and goals while working such a demanding job? I worked with you, Alan, and you were always in such a zen space. Well, that's just a testament to you.
Yeah. I would like to say it's balanced as much as I would like it to be, but it's not. There's literally 1,000 things going on in my head. And I think prioritizing is one of the key things to really be able to get everything done. Do I get everything I want done? No. Am I great at prioritizing? I would say I'm pretty good. I've trained a lot of managers in my life, and being a general manager for a lot of different businesses of retail and restaurant, I've developed that skill set to be able to prioritize things. But yeah, I think putting things down on paper, emptying in your head so that all the things in your head are somewhere else rather than in your head will help you, like what you said, to be in a zen place. If you prioritize, if you put everything you want to get done on paper or somewhere else on your computer or something and make a to-do list or some kind of plan, then you don't have to worry about it because, all right, yeah, I got to do this today. Oh, no, I don't, because I've already scheduled that for next Tuesday. So it's out of your head. Yeah. So I think that's the biggest thing, one of the biggest things you could do if you have so many goals is put them down, set them, get a plan out for them, set time goals, time frames, due dates, stuff like that, and just get it out of your head. And then just have faith in yourself to say, okay, these are the things I need to do today. Get those done. These are the things I need to do this week. Get those done, and then chip away. I used to do stone and wood sculpture, and you start to chip away. You don't see the end product until you have chipped away these little pieces of wood, and then they're all over the ground. But you can't expect to just take one big piece out and all of a sudden you have the bust of George Washington. It's little pieces. And same thing with painting. You start with one brush stroke.
And it looks like crap for about 5 hours, and then all of a sudden it's a masterpiece, right?
Yeah, Erin has seen me draw, and she's like, "What are you drawing?" But then the end result is it's a combination of those 10,000 brush strokes, right?
Yeah. So I have two thoughts on this, and I hope I can remember both. But the first one is to that point that we think we can accomplish more in one day than we can. Like everyone. That's just like how your brain works. You make this to-do list, which is impossible to complete in one day. But what we think we can accomplish in a month or a year is so much less than is actually possible. So we spend a lot of wasted time worrying about whether or not we'll be able to accomplish our goals, rather than, which takes up the time that we could have spent working towards them. So if you just decide, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it one step at a time, and that's kind of that manifesting piece, it will happen. then you're not wasting your energy kind of worrying about, will it happen? How long will it take? Will it be difficult? You just go ahead and start doing it. And as you're doing it, then spending more and more time on the doing and less on the worrying, you get there actually way faster than somebody else who worried for 3 months about it and then started working towards it. The second thing is, when you're not worried about somebody else's definition of what you should be doing in your life, that cuts out a lot of this stuff. So you're saying, how do you balance all the ideas and goals? You get rid of any idea and goal that is not your own. So when you're working a job, they have a goal for you. They think that you should get promoted. They think that you should train people. They think that you should do all this stuff. They think that you should get, personally developed to be better for their company. But when you work for yourself, you only have those goals for your business that you set up for it. So it's kind of like chipping away at what the world has told you to care about. And then that makes more time and space and energy for the other thing. It's for the very physical example on my YouTube channel. Recently, I did a video about not wearing makeup for a year. I didn't do it on purpose. It just was not at the top of my priority list. And when brushing your teeth takes 30 seconds longer and everything else does, you don't have time to put on makeup. And then all of a sudden you realize you don't care that your face looks like this without makeup. Like, you just don't care anymore. And so that gives you more time for the stuff you do care about. So it's kind of chipping away at worrying instead of doing work, and also chipping away at things that are not your own goals and kind of learning what you really care about most. That gives you more time.
What's the next question?
I think we're at our last preconceived question.
What would you recommend to those interested in this life on how to start?
So for me, in terms of manifesting anything, the first thing is to get super, super clear on your goal. This goes back to the same point I just made. You can have all the things you want in life as long as you know what it is that you want. So you can't have your goal and everybody else's ideal goal. So when you think nomad life, so many ideas come up of what other people want from nomad life, and you kind of have to get rid of that and decide, what do you really want? Realistically speaking, if we want to grow businesses on the road, we want to be in nature as much as possible, we want to also be able to visit cities, suddenly all that clarity helps you to create the plan. Instead of just saying, I don't know, we want to be nomads. And then you think that means, well, now I got to take up mountain biking and rock climbing, and also I have to be surfing, and also I have to, have a school bus, but then also I need a travel trailer, because everyone has done it all these different ways. Gaining clarity on that, which could look like thousands of hours of YouTube watching and forum, hunting for all of these questions to answers. We spent a lot of time in the research phase. And from all of that experience, I ended up creating a Nomad Life workshop, and I'm in the midst of creating a Nomad Life course, Manifesting Nomad Life, so that instead of you watching thousands of YouTube hours, basically you're getting all the stuff that I learned along the way, cutting that down into like what's actually the most helpful. And for me, it's so much more about the energy with which you enter into this goal than it is about the work. And so that, like, something that is, it's kind of hard for me to express in 30 seconds here. But if you go into a goal with fear, what the result you get is fear. If you go into it with confidence, then you get confidence. If you wake up and you start your day with joy, you're going to get a better result than if you wake up and you start your day with complaining. So there's a whole bunch of energy work that we had done in our lives personally, right? Which allows us to accomplish this with more speed and ease than if we hadn't done that personal development work. So as I decided, I had a lot of people asking me questions like, can you show us how to become nomads? And my answer was, yes, but you're probably not going to like the way I go about it. Like, it's not, here's how to do solar, right? It's here's how to manifest. But I think that's the fastest way to do it. We were nomads within 3 months of deciding, right? And that's what you want. You want to be able to get it done and get it done now. So clarity and energy work is what I think I would recommend to people in order to get started.
I totally agree with those things. And to add to that, we have quite a few friends who like, well, I don't know if I can do this right now. So yes, number one is the decision to do it. I think you have to decide, and that decision has to be based on having faith in yourself that you are able to do it. If you say, I'm going to do it, but then really, that self-talk of talking you out of it because of all the roadblocks that could happen, you're not going to be able to do it. You have to decide. I think in anything in life, you have to decide to do it, and then have faith in yourself that you are able to do it, and have faith that the outcome is going to be great. You could say positive thinking, affirmation, all that stuff. You have to believe that you can do it, because if you can't believe that you can do it, then it's going to be a tough battle. And then what I mentioned earlier is making it as a clean transition as you can. So physical health, take care of your physical health. Your mental health, take care of that. Your finances, take care of that. Give yourself a buffer, because there's going to be days, if you're not trying to make money on the road, there's going to be days where it's going to be tough to be able to find internet or whatever, or, hustle. So a lot of preparation. I know there's a lot of people out there, the nomad life, and it's possible. They just put a backpack on, a couple $100 in their pocket, and they just hit the road, or go to another country. That's possible too. I mean, it's really up to the person. But for me, being the business person in me, the manager in me, like, I want it to be as easy transition as possible to ensure the success of it. And Aaron and I were talking earlier, like, what are the hardest things? What was the hardest situation we had to deal with? And we were like, yeah, we didn't really have to deal with any tough situation, because we were prepared. We were prepared in all aspects: finances, health, our rig. I take care of my car so that it's not going to break down 30 miles on a dirt road, and I don't have cell phone signal and all that. So it's being prepared. If you're prepared and do the research. We did a lot of research. Erin did a lot of research. I did. She's doing her workshop on Nomad Life. I'm doing this weekend for people to get out and do a little camping. And I've been getting a lot of questions on, this is my first time camping. How am I going to do it? This is my first time overlanding. How am I going to do it? So I'm hosting this culinary weekend in a few weeks in October, in a couple of weeks in mid-October, to help people get into that. And, I'll be making more videos and more content on my blog content and video content to help people get out there and do more outdoorsy stuff. Because I think that for me, my nomad life is the overlanding part, is living out there, kind of being self-sufficient in the middle of the woods, how to build a campfire, how to chop wood, how to pitch tent, how to sharpen your knives, all that kind of stuff, all the outdoor stuff. For me, that's my nomad image. And, and Erin and I has mixed that into a nice balance where we are spending time, exploring nature, but also, exploring culture across the country, and still making the time to build our brands.
Yeah. So, I think really having the ability to, I just lost to try it out, right? To like baby step it. So for instance, we camped a lot before we started Nomad Life. Then we purposely took a 5-week trip before going across country for months, so that we could learn what went well and what didn't go well, what we should have brought that we didn't, what we did bring that we didn't need. And so any time someone says, oh, I wish I could do that, but I don't have time. I said, do you have a weekend? Right? Literally, do you want to come to this event that we're having so that you can like get that experience? Because the more experience you get under your belt, the more with grace you can launch into Nomad Life. And I think also just realizing that, so you say literally, let's say literally there's no way you could start Nomad Life for the next 2 years for whatever reason. That's your response to me when you say you want to do it but you can't. I would tell you, you got 2 years to prepare, right? And so You can watch all the YouTube. You can go through your closet and get rid of things you don't need. You can go on camping trips. You can meet other people who do this for a living. You can work on a side gig. Being an entrepreneur is such a huge part, I think, of being self-sufficient, like you're talking about being a nomad. You can start your side gig, right? There's all these things that you can do that don't involve buying a trailer, building it out, and getting on the road. And so even if you can't be doing that yet, you could spend all your days doing all these other fun things that help get you there, right? Yeah. So just baby stepping it, for sure.
Right. So do we have any more questions?
I
know we have 1,000 questions, but
I don't think so. I feel like, we kept it under an hour. Somebody asked, how did we meet? Which I do think is, we haven't given our backstory. So I'm originally from Birmingham, Alabama. And so my growing up experience, that whole nature thing, and also having seen that whole part of the United States was something that you didn't have. And so that's where my love of nature comes from, growing up in a suburb, but with a creek that ran all the way around our neighborhood and a mountain that we would climb. And we used to go camping and backpacking all the time and fishing and, all this stuff. And then I moved up north and ended up in New York working for Trader Joe's. So I met Alan because he interviewed me for Trader Joe's and gave me the job. And then we worked at different stores and ended up getting together later. But it's hilarious to me kind of that I had to get to like the biggest city in the world in order to live in the middle of nature. But that's how it happens. So what's your backstory?
So I was born in the Philippines, but I came here when I was about 3 years old, and I came to New York City with my family, and I grew up in New York City. I grew up in Queens, so I'm a Queens boy, but my adult life in Brooklyn, so that's the Basecamp Brooklyn brand. But I love the outdoors. I'm not gonna say I'm a adrenaline junkie, but I am an adventurer. So I like exploring. So I spent a lot of time outdoors. Growing up, my family did regular camping trips, and I mountain bike, and I am a snow sports person. I love skiing. I grew up skiing. I snowboard as well. Not as good, but I do. And mountain biking and camping and living the rugged lifestyle. I enjoy that too. But I am a city boy. I love the arts and cultures of New York City, and this is where my heart is. But I love New York City because I am able to experience nature. A lot of people here in New York don't know the gorgeousness of upstate New York and the beaches of Long Island and the beaches of Connecticut, and the Jersey Shore too is beautiful. But New York City, yeah, it is probably one of the biggest metropolises in the world, but less than an hour away, you could be out in nature, away from the hustle and bustle of the tourists and the crowds and stuff like that. And, when I was working for various major corporations, I was always thinking about, well, when's my next vacation, and planning where I'm going to go and just be able to drive out into the mountains and camp and do my thing. But now I'm able to do that as often as I want, whenever I want, which is wonderful.
Yeah. And the other, like our next big goal, not that we're going to dive into that tonight really, but is to own some land and have a place where people can get out of the city and enjoy nature, and just make it as easy as possible for people to get that experience, because New England is incredibly gorgeous. Upstate New York is gorgeous. And the fact that people get stuck in the city and don't get any nature for like 5 years at a time just blows my mind. And it's so important for mental, physical, and emotional health to get out into nature. And so it is like an hour away. So if we can have a space that is easy to get to, where we can help people to have that experience, that's our next like big dream.
All right. So I think we're going to end it, but we'll end it with, I'll end it with thanks you everybody who is who has joined and stayed through to listen to us. This is going to be pre-recorded as well, so it's going to be reposted. So if you take the time to watch it as well after post live video, thank you for hanging out with us. And I want to do a plug for my upcoming event. It is on October 16th to the 18th. It's a weekend event in northern mid Pennsylvania. So if you are in the Northeast and want to kind of experience camping and overlanding and stuff like that, but make it easy, please join me. I'll put a link at the bottom. And pretty much it's going to be, I will be doing all the cooking for the weekend. So bring your gear, bring your overland rigs. All you have to do is set up camp, and obviously it's going to be mid-October, so it's going to be chilly. So be prepared for a little cold.
Cold weather and big fires.
Cold weather and big fires, but it's going to be at the peak of autumn, the autumn foliage. So it's going to be wonderful, and hopefully we'll get some clear skies so that we could experience the stars and the Milky Way galaxy, because this area of Pennsylvania is one of the darkest skies on the Northeast. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, so we'll put the link in the video description for that event that's coming up. And you can have an overland rig or camping, right? So you can just have a tent and a sleeping bag. That's totally fine too.
If you want to bring your car and sleep in your car, that's fine too. So
yeah, so we're not rig specific. Whatever works for you. And we'll also put a link if you're interested in learning more about my Manifesting Nomad Life workshop, which you can do now, or my course that's coming up. I have a wait list for it, and there will be a discount for people who are on the wait list. I try to only run courses when I have enough people that I know it'll be a good community vibe, because when you're manifesting together as a group, that really increases that energy. So we'll put both those links. But if you have questions, even if you're not on the live, go ahead and put them down in the comments, and one or the other of us or both will get back to you and answer that question for you for sure.
All right, guys, thank you for joining us. The sun just set,
and it's chilly.
And it's getting chilly. I don't know if you guys see me shivering, but yeah. Okay, guys, thank you for joining us.
Love and blessings to you. Have a fantastic week.
Namaste. I gotta pee.